of more than 100 Chinese vessels in the West Philippine Sea. Should the government also protest the entry of more Chinese nationals? We discuss in this episode of The Chiefs. And welcome to this weekend edition of The Chiefs. Of course, with us.
Wala akong sinasabi. No correction here. But it's going to be a stormy weekend.
Oh, yeah, stormy weekend. Going to stormy Monday as well.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oo.
And
malakas,
for the down south, it's going to be a stormy week then, late midweek. Possibly midweek, there's a second storm coming in.
Yes, but this first one is potentially signal number 4.
So, number 4.
Yeah. Lakas nun, ha? Oo, gustiness is 238 ba? Parang gano'n eh. 238 kph eh. Lakas.
And the problem, I suppose, is kadadanan ng Typhoon Kita, so the soil, yung lupa right now, is saturated. It's saturated with water. So there's not much absorptive capacity of the land, and that's more prone to landslides and floods.
Kawawa yung Bicol region, ano? Aurora, Casigurat, ano mo yun? Quezon. Yun na naman yung path eh.
Sila yung nakahanap doon eh. Sila yung welcome mat ng mga bagyo dyan sa Pacific
Talaga, no? Talaga. Yeah.
Oo nga eh.
Tapos yun nga, may kasunod pa, no?
Mabuti na lang nga. Mabuti na lang sa ating mga sementeryo, no?
Yeah.
People are forced to stay at home.
Yeah. Right. And then another potential storm coming in next week is the U.S. elections.
Yes, that's right.
With their complicated electoral college system.
I know, di ba? Kaya na naman yung bilangan ng individual votes, pero wala pa rin. Antayin mo pa rin yung electoral, no?
Kaya ngayon, wala na.
Clinton got 3 million votes more than
actual vote.
In the individual, yes.
Yeah.
Kaya ngayon, wala nang nagre-rely dun sa mga survey nila.
Yeah. Because
ang hirap pulaan. Yes. Talaga.
Kaya exciting next week.
So that's another storm to watch out for.
Yes.
Okay. Segue ka ba, Ami, o hindi?
Wala eh. Wala akong maisip. Bumabagyo eh. Tulong lang.
Some senators are looking at another storm coming in, or that has been coming in the past so many years. A storm coming from the east. O, di ba?
Invasion.
Our first guest for tonight called it a soft invasion from the east, specifically by people coming from China. So I suppose we can bring him in already. Si Senator Francis Kiko Pangilinan joins us tonight as our first guest. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
And welcome to The Chiefs.
Hi, good evening.
Senator.
Good evening,
everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm very happy.
Thank you for being here.
Yes.
Please stay safe, everyone. Mag-iingat lahat sa bagyo.
Oo nga, bagyo.
Anyway, you called it orchestrated soft invasion. You're talking about 4 million Chinese nationals. If I got the number correctly, it's 4 million, di ba?
Yes.
With that number, you're looking at what? Almost 4% of our population.
Yes. Larger than the population of Cavite.
Yeah. So that's quite
of Quezon City nga raw eh.
Quezon City, yes. And in a period of 3 years. From
3 years.
And this is government data provided by the Bureau of Immigrations during the hearing of the Committee on Women conducted by Senator Ontiveros. So these are disturbing and alarming bits of information that we are receiving about the level and the volume of Chinese nationals in the country. We're talking of national security, and when you look at it, this is probably a major factor as to why we failed to manage the spread of the COVID disease.
Yes.
And so we are on our knees now, and our economy is in shambles precisely because of this unbridled entry.
So they were the ones who brought it in. Yeah.
Yes, and
Yes.
we have the data. You know, nung February 4 hearing ng Senate Committee on Health, the first and only hearing that was conducted, wala pang ano nun, wala pa atang 100 kaso nun. 80 persons under investigation. When we asked Secretary Duque, of the 80 during the hearing, persons under investigation, how many were from Wuhan? Persons under investigation are supposed to have already exhibited symptoms, etc.
Yes.
First, he didn't know.
Wuhan.
Yes, first he didn't know. He asked his underling, and his underling said 31. 31 of the 80 PUIs, the first
Dami
80
nun, ah.
were from Wuhan. We followed up with a question as to were we able to contact trace them? Wala. Kasi nag-discharge na raw. So
None.
you know, and that is part of the unbridled entry of Chinese nationals in our country since 2017. Tuloy-tuloy ang pagpasok. And
Sir, but you did call it potentially a national security issue. But do we have any demographic data as to the a cross section of this 4 million? What are they? How old are they? Are they? You know,
And what are they doing here?
And that's precisely why we want this investigation, because in the Committee on Women hearing, many of them precisely came in surreptitiously bribing their way into the country by paying itong pastillas scam.
Pastillas.
So that in itself is already a forfeiture of their right to be in the country. And you know, the Bureau of Immigration and Deportation is not inutile. It can issue mission orders and have undesirable aliens brought to the immigration before the BID chief to explain and verify the legality of his or her status. Ganun, mas malakas pa sa warrant of arrest ang kapangyarihan ng commissioner.
Ako ang question ko rito, Senator, ay ano ba ito? Is this a deliberate strategy on the part of China, maybe Chinese companies or Chinese workers, or is it more a problem of systemic corruption in immigration? Ano ba yan? Saan tayo mag-umpisa ng
I think it's both. I think it would be both. No? Kasi ang figures is mind-boggling. 40 billion pesos ang computations ng mga naipasok dahil no questions asked, 10,000. Pwede ka nang pumasok.
Yes.
So that, and plus the other consideration, of course, is what are they bringing in? Di ba? Ang privilege speech ni Senator Gordon in November of 2019, just before the lockdown and before COVID, was billions of 18.7 billion pesos was brought in 3 months. Half of them from China. And this was reported.
In terms of yung visa, yung corruption, ano yan, lagay, pastillas.
Saan mo gagamitin yung,
yes.
Saan mo gagamitin yung billion-billion na yun?
Right,
no?
right.
And of course, the other consideration is, are they taking away jobs from our people?
Yes, right.
Again, sabi ko nga I manifested that on the floor when we were debating on the, deliberating on the Pogo scandals. Sabi ko, baka Committee on Ethics na lang ang hindi pwedeng i-refer yung problema ng Pogo. Kasi lahat na ng batas, samot-saring batas na ang nilabag. Tax, labor, human trafficking, kidnapping, drugs, money laundering. Talagang lahat yan sa Pogo. So what is it? You know, that's why it is a national security concern. Are they also taking our jobs? Are they, ito nga, in the budget hearing of the Department of Public Works and Highways, 45%, ang sabi ng DPWH, 45% of those working in the pandemic are Chinese nationals.
Yes.
In the middle of a pandemic, when millions of our people have no jobs, when hundreds of thousands of our overseas Filipino workers are being sent home. I think this is really not just economic, it is national security, it is health, and therefore we really have to look into this. We have to protect our workers, we have to protect the health of our citizens, and we have to protect the economy, and of course, our territory.
Senator, are you reaching out to Chinese officials? Kasi kanina, nagpunta sa Binondo si Chinese Ambassador Juan Shilan. And sinabi niya, ang sabi niya, 8% lang daw ng total employees nila sa mga Chinese-aided projects in the Philippines, Chinese. 92% daw Filipino. So sabi niya, they created about 36,000 jobs for Filipinos. Saka konti lang daw yung mga kailangan lang daw talaga. Yun ang sinabi niya kanina. And then,
yes, and that now brings you to the question, what is the public works saying? They are saying otherwise. 45% are Chinese nationals for the Pantaleon Bridge, and the other project 31%. So obviously there's a discrepancy.
Kaya,
baka yun yung official documents, pero yung unofficial na hindi nakasulat, iba ang nangyayari. And that's why we have to investigate. Sino nagsasabi ng totoo? Yung Chinese ambassador o yung public works? Sino ang nagsisinungaling o sino ang may kakulangan sa kaalaman kung ano talaga nangyayari sa baba?
So will you be inviting Chinese officials or representatives from the embassy? Siyempre gusto rin nila ibigay yung side nila. Kasi
there is yes.
Yeah. No, we cannot say that the ambassador is lying, no?
Yeah.
Kasi official to, lalabas to na istorya bukas din eh.
Yes. Well, we will see, because of course this is a diplomatic matter, you know,
Yes.
and therefore we will see how we can approach this. And it may not be necessary to bring them in at the moment. We will figure it out, and maybe, you know, precisely because there are diplomatic repercussions, then we will have to tread carefully. We don't want, you know, we are not against China, okay? We are not against the Chinese government. I understand that they are also concerned about their illegals here. And as best we can, we should be able to cooperate and address, you know, these concerns.
That's true, Senator.
To help one another, and if these are illegals who did, you know, who corrupted our system, I'm sure the Chinese government would be also interested to address this, because they don't want criminality.
Yes.
Precisely. You know.
In fact, Senator, sila yung naghihingi sa atin at tigilan na yung pogo eh.
Exactly. Yes. Ayaw nga nila yun eh. In fact, illegal sa kanila, no? Yeah.
And we welcome that. We welcome that. Hindi na nga nagbabayad ng tax eh.
Hindi, well, in fact, yung latest figures from our business writers, nag-aalisa na actually yung pogos eh. In fact,
Tsaka bumabagsak na ulit ang real estate prices dahil nga nag-aalisa na. Yes.
Nag-aalisan sila because of the taxes, and partly because pinauuwi nga sila ng gobyerno nila.
Right.
That's one of the things. I want to ask you if you also have a figure kung mga ilan na yung nakaalis. Kasi talagang if you look around, kasi ako, I live in the southern part of Metro Manila. Napakaraming pogo dyan, pero napakarami na talaga nilang nagsara. They are not suspended, they are nagsara na. Nakalagay doon for list na eh. So are you also keeping track of people, of the Chinese who are living from the pogos? Kasi talagang dami.
And that's why we want to have this investigation. Because we need to get precisely a tracking of where are these 4 million. Are they transient? Have they left? What are the records? We need to know all of this. And that's why we call for this investigation. Again, I will reiterate, you know, we are not against the Chinese government, you know, what we are against are the illegals who have bragged their way into our country. And I'm sure the Chinese government frowns upon this as well. And therefore, we would like to see that addressed. Sabi ko nga, the fact that there was testimony saying that they paid 10,000 pesos to get special treatment. In other words, they were bribing immigration officials. That already is basis for them to be declared undesirable. And the power of the Bureau of Immigration chief is to issue a mission order. This is what they did to Sister Patricia Fox. That was the basis, how they were able to get her detained. It was a mission order, not a warrant of arrest from a judge. It was a mission order from the Bureau of Immigrations, because that mission order then allows the Bureau of Immigration chief to determine the legality of your status. So we are not helpless here. And if we are to defend precisely our jobs, I wouldn't be surprised if a number of those who are employed by these Chinese infrastructure projects, I wouldn't be surprised if even they will find out na fake pala yung kanilang mga working permits. Diba? Galing sa recto. Diba? I wouldn't be surprised kung meron talaga, pag sindikato ang nag-operate, di ba, yung galamay niyan, lahat, ipepeke na lahat yan, tuloy-tuloy. Di ba? Kahit work permit, peke. Yung kanilang mga papeles, peke. Di ba? There was, I think it was Senator Joel Villanueva who said 6,000 illegal workers were identified in Pampanga. Chinese nationals, di ba? Siguro yung may-ari, akala niya, kinausap niya yung official ng immigration, sabi nung may-ari, kung pwedeng ayusin ito, inayos lahat, everything above board, sabi nung corrupt na official ng BID, everything fake. It could be like that. Diba? That's why we have to find out. We have to find out. And it's a serious matter.
Okay, apart from losing from stealing jobs from Filipinos, no? In terms of national security, what risks or risk implications are there when we have, more and more Chinese here in the country? And we're not just talking about Metro Manila, no? We don't even know what the numbers are. For example, in Zambales, those provinces close to the West Philippine Sea.
Nagbibiro may biro pa nga eh. Kung 4 million yun, pwede nang ipanalo ang presidente, ang kandidatura ng isang presidente kung magparehistro lahat yun.
Actually.
That's probably far-fetched, I hope. But having said that,
in terms of defense, halimbawa.
Yes, ang kwento ng aking mga magulang nung panahon ng Hapon, ang daming Japanese nationals dito sa bansa, yung bookkeeper, librarian, storekeeper, di ba? Mga nasa paligid lang, neighbors nila, pero pagdating daw ng gera, official pala ng Japanese Imperial Army. Yung, I'm sorry?
The fifth column.
Kempitay.
No. Imperial Army. In other words, they were spies and were conscripted by the armed forces of Japan, the military, to become soldiers. Panahon ng Hapon, di ba? Akala nila, taga-benta lang nung ganito, storekeeper, di ba? Yung official na pala ng Japanese. And even Senator Gordon has said that. He wouldn't be surprised. How come yung retirees, 35 years old, mga bata? Di ba? Yung Philippine Retirement Authority, again, we want to look into this because may pattern ba? Kasi yung Philippine Retirement Authority, dating official din ng BID yan eh. Ito ba, galamay ba ito? Nag-uusap ba yung mga yan para ipasok itong mga Chinese nationals in such a surreptitious way? Diba? And then yung 35 years old, sabi nga ni Senator Gordon, diba? Ano ba yan? Parang of military age yan? And of course, kung 35 yan na retired, hindi na nagtatrabaho. Malamang nagtatrabaho pa yan. At baka yung trabaho ng Pilipino, kinukuha niya. Diba? But going back to the point of the national security considerations, we have a dispute. We have an ongoing controversy in the West Philippine Sea. And obviously, what have they done? What have the Chinese, what the position of the Chinese government has been, halimbawa sa Jember. But the fishing boat of our fisher folk, the Jember, was rammed, and they were left to die. And these are Chinese nationals in their larger boats. I mean, if they can do that and harass us in our own waters, diba?
Yes, sir.
What is it for them to come in, diba, and do intelligence gathering and strengthen their own information about our capacities as a nation? I don't know. That's why we want to investigate. We have to know. We have to find out. If there are 4 million of them who entered since 2017, and I go back to your point earlier, sino ang nandito pa? Sino ang umalis? At yung mga nandito, nasaan sila? What jobs are they, occupying? Where are they assigned? Are they in technology? Are they in the power? Are they in construction? Where are they? We have to know that, and that's precisely why the BID, is the institution that regulates the entry of foreigners, and it became unlimited entry.
Senator, apart from investigation, it's in aid of legislation, ano? Offhand, yes. What are you seeing na potential na legislation here? Are you going to regulate, for example, offshore gaming? Saka, are you going to introduce changes, for example, in our immigration policy?
I think yes. For example, although of course this could be a law, but this can also be an administrative order. Right now, the BID is authorized to issue visas. They are the ones empowered to issue visas. They have delegated this. That delegation, we feel, might have to be corrected by legislation because they have allowed.
Foreign affairs ang visa? Di ba?
Pagpasok dito sa bansa locally, yan. Yes. Pagka sa mga kukuha sila ng sa embassy.
Yeah.
Yun. Actually, it's the immigration, BOI for special investment visas.
Yes, investment.
But largely, it's the Bureau of Immigration and Deportation. And that's why I think dapat magkaroon ng unified issuance ng visa. I think that should be put together and maybe under the office of the president, for example, and have someone with a rank of cabinet secretary to be in charge and not just a bureau chief like the BID.
Sa Senator, yung gaming, anong nakikita niyo? Will you regulate or will you ban offshore gaming?
Well, that is already a subject of a separate investigation being undertaken by the Blue Ribbon Committee. So we'd like to wait for their recommendations. But we will also look into that. No? Ang sa akin lang dito is how did we get to this situation wherein millions of foreigners, in this case Chinese nationals, have been allowed to come in. Diba? And we are helpless and just watching. No? And I think
report yung mga yan agad, hindi pwede. There's nothing actually that we can use to justify a deportation also, mass deportation.
Well, meron, but sadly, the executive department's first response was that we should go slow in addressing the illegals because baka daw bumawi or maapektuhan yung mga Filipinos.
Yes, workers.
We have laws. If laws were violated, what will we do? We will say, let us not enforce our laws because Filipinos overseas in China might be affected. Mag-impinsa na rin tayo ng China siguro. Kung gano'n, anong pang saysay ng mga batas natin, hindi pala natin pwedeng i-enforce. I see the concern. Let us cross the bridge when we get there. Ang ibang bansa, pinauuwi yung kanilang mga kababayan pagka talagang nagkakaproblema, hindi ba? Diplomatically. We don't want to reach that point, of course. And we'd like to make sure that our Filipinos overseas are protected. But it is not reason enough for us to decide that we cannot go against the illegalities being undertaken by Chinese nationals in our country. This is our country. These are our, we have to protect our interests, the workers' interests, our economic interests as businessmen, our interests as a government that we are not able to collect the right taxes. So we are not helpless. In fact, I believe we should create an interagency, committee of DOJ, DND, the BID, the NICA, DOF, to be able to look into what exactly is the number or volume of nationals in our country. What are their status in the country? Are they here illegally? If there are 10,000 peso pastillas entries, then they should be prosecuted and deported. Who are they? Where are they? We have to find out. This is not a laughing matter. It is a serious concern. Like I said, what are the ramifications? If you ask me precisely, a major factor why we failed to prevent, unlike Thailand, Singapore, Vietnam, Malaysia, Taiwan, they closed and they made sure that the entry of these people were checked. In our case, wala, di ba? 10,000 pastillas, kahit may sakit ka, kaya wala, hindi na namin iisipin yun. Basta yung 10,000 sa bulsa namin ang mahalaga. Go ahead.
Sir, let me just do a rewind to an earlier question by Lucy. I know that you were earlier talking about the possibilities that you could look into in an investigation. You have to look into these pa. Pero let me ask you muna. Do you think it's just a question of negligence on our part, and that we made it so inviting for Chinese nationals to come here in droves, like 4 million? Or is it the other way around? Is it a deliberate effort by a foreign government to come in?
Well, that we have to find out. But this is not negligence. This is corruption. It was already established. The whistleblower said, he already identified the mastermind. Diba? This is corruption. This was not negligence. And then, of course, abetted by our coziness with this administration's coziness to China. Pag sinabi mo, wag natin silang habulin kasi baka bawian tayo nung, di sino pang kikilos? Diba? If that was the initial response, diba? That, teka muna, yung mga illegal dito na, wag gagalawin. O, ano mangyayari sa atin? So this is not.
For example, in regard to the policy of retirement of the Philippines as a retirement haven for foreigners, do you find something defective in the policy of allowing foreigners to retire here? Or was that just a question of corruption?
That per se is that precisely why you have that law, but it can be abused. There are 28,000 more of Chinese nationals, and if I understand it correctly, the average age is 35. So what was the basis for allowing them to retire here? Was it just 10,000 pesos like pastillas? I don't know. Diba? I don't know.
Wala kasing age limit. Yung PRA pagdating sa foreign retirees, no?
Yes, I understand. I think the resolution, and I think they're going to change that resolution, was 1993 pa. Yeah. But the influx was not 1993. The influx of Chinese nationals was just recently. Diba? So, niluwagan at pinayagan. Diba?
But just to be clear, are we just concerned about the Chinese retiring here? Or what about the others? About Koreans, Japanese?
You cannot isolate the Chinese, 28,000 Chinese who are 35 years old retiring here, and 4 million since 2017 who also entered. You cannot isolate the these are Chinese nationals who have come unbridled, unregulated, illegally, have all come here. We have to act. We cannot, we cannot allow this to happen. That millions can come in because you pay a corrupt immigration official. And what was the consequence of that? What Why do we have immigration to begin with? Wag na lang tayo mag-immigration. Binabayaran lang pala. Pasok na lang kayo lahat dito. Di ba? So you cannot isolate retirement issue and look at it in isolation. You have to look at the bigger picture. The bulk of those retirees were Chinese nationals, averaging 35 years old. Of course, they will say, well, the law says 35 years old. I mean, the resolution, so okay lang. Yes, but in the context of 4 million Chinese nationals coming in since 2017, in the context of 31 of the 80 persons under investigation in February 4 were from Wuhan. Diba? And we could not check where they were. This is another issue here. Kasi kung corruption yan, diba? Kung under the table yung pagpasok niyan, yung mga dokumento niyan mahirap i-trace. Diba? Or peke. Diba? O, paano mo na ngayon i-monitor? Nasaan itong mga ito? Diba? Tapos pagka nakita yung mga dokumento, peke pala. And then 45, at least the report from the DPWH, that's what we have to clarify. 45% of the workers in the Pantaleon Bridge are Chinese nationals, and in the other project, the other bridge, 31%. That's the DPWH version, which was presented in the budget hearing. So, all these put together gives you a, serious pause.
Less than 8%.
Is this a soft invasion? We don't know. We don't know. That's why we have to find out.
Kasi yung sa retirement naman, that's under the DOT, di ba? Ang gusto nila is more tourism and more investment. Saka kung magre-retire daw, actually yung concept ng retirement doon is parang second home tayo. So paano yung if you don't think about the Chinese, you think about other foreigners coming here, talagang makakadagdag siya sa mga tourism natin, saka sa investment. So anong pwedeng gawing legislation doon to correct that?
Age limit lang yun Ami.
Yes. Oo.
Kasi wala tayong age limit
Hindi, 35.
Wala. Walang nakalagay
The law doesn't provide any. So that has to be looked into also.
So yun yung babaguhin nyo sa, if it's in aid of legislation.
Yes, and if it's also legislation, the powers of the BID to issue visas, perhaps that should now be corrected. Apart from that, of course, is yung national security implications. You have China telco in our communications. You have the grid, the national grid is also a Chinese company. I mean, these are all concerns. I raised this actually on a separate hearing of the Department of National Defense budget. That are we safe? What are the national security implications of Ms. Latel and Dito setting up their communications inside military camps? While the rest of the world, are holding back. I understand the Five Eyes. This is Australia, New Zealand, UK, the US, are all taking a second look at Huawei in communication systems, diba? In 5G. So we and this is only the last couple of months. Last July, another country said they are not going to allow Huawei into their 5G system. So these are serious concerns, and we have an ongoing controversy in the West Philippine Sea. So we have to watch closely and monitor these developments of the influx of Chinese nationals in our country at this point. It's sabi ko nga, digital technology, power, telecommunications. These are sensitive industries and sensitive sectors, and that's why the national security component is also critical. In fact, even Secretary Esperon and Secretary Lorenzana expressed concern about these pogo operations beside all these military camps, di ba? So, di ba?
Yeah.
So we really have, again, China is, we would like to be friends with everybody. Okay, we would like to have good relations with all countries. We would like to invite countries like China, Japan to invest in the country, but we also have to protect and watch out for our own, our people. We want the jobs for our citizens. We want the technology to be available to us, but at the same time that they are secure. We want our power industry to make sure that that we are protected, and so we hope that that China will understand. The other point that I raised during these national security concerns with the budget of the Department of National Defense in 2017, in another law, the Chinese National Intelligence Law and Espionage Counterintelligence Espionage Law, there is a provision there that mandates that Chinese corporations will cooperate in the information gathering of the state. So
Okay,
these are,
so they might be used by, yes.
and I raised this with
the government.
with Secretary Lorenzana during the budget hearing of the DND, and he said that they will make sure that there are safeguards in place, and that's something that we also have to watch out for.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Maraming salamat.
Thank you, thank you.
Kiko,
Again, in the end,
thank you for your insights.
yes, in the end, we have to protect our own. Sino pa ang who else will look out for us if not ourselves, di ba? Pag di ba, protektahan natin, ipaglaban natin. Lalo na ngayong COVID, wala nang trabaho ang ating mga kababayan. Unahin natin yung mga Pilipino. Huwag naman paboran yung bigyang liway yung dayuhan. Bigyan natin ng lahat ng liway yung ating mga kababayan na natin gutom, wala ng trabaho. Magagaling ang ating mga kababayan. Yung mga overseas Filipino skilled workers, kaya nila yung mga ginagawa ng mga Chinese nationals. I would like to think we have one of the best skilled technical workers in the world. And they need jobs right now because of COVID. So let's fight for our people. Thank you. Thank you very much.
No argument there. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Sir,
Senator.
pakamusta lang kay Ate Shawi.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll just go into break, so please stay with us.
Welcome back to the Chiefs. We're now in the final stage of our conversation. And now joining us is Attorney Mel Santa Maria. Welcome, Attorney.
Well, hi, how are you?
Well, to the Chief.
Nako, namimiss ko ng partner ko.
Pagupit na pala kayo, ha?
Ang original partner ko.
Oo nga. Another very controversial issue, Attorney. Baka daw kalahati ng mga Pilipino lalaki makulong dahil dito. No? But actually, it's in the law. No? I read that law in domestic violence, law on domestic violence. It's pretty harsh.
9262, di ba?
Ngayon lang siya na-apply ng ganyan. Anong implications? Actually, pwede talaga makulong eh.
Landmark ba yan? Landmark ba yan, Mel? Matagal na yan, di ba? Pero landmark case ba to?
Yes.
Matagal na ito.
Ngayon lang siya na-apply na merong punishment.
Yes.
Pero
matagal na ito, pero ngayon lang natin nakita yung ipin.
Oo.
Yung ipin na ito kasi kasi dumating na sa Supreme Court. Alam mo dati kasi yung parati namin napapag-usapan ni Lucci ito noon, basta na-convict ka ng adultery or concubinage nung araw, hindi ka naman makukulong. Hindi ka naman makukulong kasi the penalty is less than, the maximum penalty is less than 6 years. At sabi ng batas, kung less than 6 years, you are qualified to be under probation. Ibig sabihin, mag-report ka lang sa probation officer mo hanggat matapos ang 3 taon, 4 na taon, tapos na, parang wala lang nangyari sa'yo.
Right.
Pero ngayon, ang penalty na pinato ng Korte Suprema, 6 months and 1 day to 8 years. Kaya nawawala yung privilege ng probation. Kaya sigurado kulong pa.
Oo, Supreme Court na yun.
Anong mga manifestation ng psychological abuse para mapatunayan mo, para siya maging matibay na ebidensya?
It's vague, di ba?
Itong kasong ito, very categorical, no? Itong kasong to, very categorical. Sabi ng Korte Suprema, psychological abuse is manifested by the marital infidelity per se. So, ibig sabihin, basta't nangaliwa ka, yun yun.
So long as you can prove unfaithfulness.
Yun yung effort, yun na yung action na makapag-cause ng mental anguish. Basta't mag-mental anguish ka na, that's it. It's finished. Sabi ng Supreme Court, kahit na isang testigo lang yan, ayos na yan. Kasi siya ang personal na nakakaramdam.
The testigo is the complainant. There's no witness. May complainant.
Hindi na kailangan ng corroboration. Ganon?
Yes. Sabi, although of course, dito sa kaso
natin, Ami, ano ba yan?
Dito, may nag-corroborate naman ng isa. Pero yung corroboration lang, holding hands lang, no? Pero yung mismong testimony ng nung napinsala dito, yung babae, talagang masyado matindi. Pinuntahan niya yung lalaki doon sa Zamboanga, na-discover niya, meron palang ang kasamang iba, tapos pagkatapos, in-NBI niya, nangako sa NBI, hindi na po babalik doon, hindi na magkikita doon. Tapos siguro, hindi ako nagkakamali, 2 buwan lang, biglang umalis ng bahay at nawala. And for so many months, probably years, sinanap niya. Akala nung babae, yung asawa niya was being held against his will. Against his will. Kaya nag-file pa siya ng habeas corpus dun sa babae. Tapos, nung in-investigate ng NBI, sabi ng NBI, hindi po. May anak na nga po.
Pero okay. Pero Mel, kanina, sa action man ni Raffy Tulfo, ang picture niya ay isang lalaking may asawa na nag-positive sa COVID or something. So, kailangan niyang mag-quarantine. Nag-quarantine siya pero sa bahay nung kabit niya. At nakuhanan siya. Totoo pa, nakabalita na nasa frontline. At nakuhanan siya ng video nung asawa. So, yun na ngayon ang ginawang basehan ng asawa para mag-complain. Pero, sinabihan siya na hindi pwedeng adultery yun. Kasi hindi raw niya nahuli na magkapatong. Bakit yun? Bakit yun nakalusot?
Probable cause pa lang yun.
Teka, mali yun.
Sabi kanina nagulat na ako. Sabi ko, bakit ka kailangan patunayan nakapatong? Paano?
Kaya nga, mali na nga yun. Kaya nga nagkaroon ng 92-62, di ba? Kasi nga, yung adultery, ang operative act ng offense, sexual intercourse ng babae. Yung concubinage naman, bukod sa sexual intercourse, binabahay mo yung babae. So sabi ng mga legislature, napakahirap naman, lalong-lalo na doon sa babaeng idemanda yung lalaki. Kaya ngayon, ginawang very broad, sexual infidelity. So pwede magkaroon ng sex, pwede hindi magkaroon ng sex, basta't yung ginagawa ng lalaki, talagang it's an act of betrayal. Okay na yon. That's your emotional violence.
Ngayon,
Pero sir,
paano naman?
how is that proven?
Toto
How
si
is that
Ed.
proven? Kasi ano, I don't know.
Si
I'll
Ed
be
on the
devil's
defense.
Devil's
Si
advocate
Ed.
lang sir, devil's advocate. How is
That's
that
a
proven?
defense.
Kasi may nakitang holding hands. Kung ano lang, kung natapik lang yung kamay pala, tapos nakuha ng picture.
Yes.
I'm being devil's advocate here.
Tama ka naman. Tama ka naman, bro. Tama ka naman, bro. Tama ka naman, bro.
Pwede ka ng defense lawyer.
Mga abogado, pwedeng paikutin yan eh.
O, tama ka naman, bro. Dapat mas matindi pa doon ang ebidensya. Tama ka naman doon. Kaya you will look at it in its context, no? Ano ba nangyayari? Bukod doon, no? Parati ba silang magkasama? Nanonood ba sila ng sine? Magkaakbay ba sila? O yun, pwede na yun, ha? So
Sir, kung
kasi basta you make continuous manifestation na...
Parang may relasyon. May relasyon.
Exacto. Expert na si Lucci dito.
Kailangan may relasyon, Bok.
Correct, tama ka. Ang 9262 is in the context of a relationship. Yun. Kaya you don't need physical abuse. It's just physical abuse, emotional abuse, financial, and financial abuse. Kaya
Pero Mel, yun na nga. Paano kung ang hirap rin patunayan ng relasyon di ba? Will a denial suffice? I mean, teka, nawala si Mel. Parang nawala si Mel, no?
Ed, kailangan nawala siya. Ed,
Kasi
kailangan
kanino yung burden of proof? Di ba? Kanino yung burden of proof na may relasyon? Kanino yun?
Di ba?
Oh.
Alam ko,
Kasi
Ed,
yung kanina, probable cause pa lang yun eh. Kumbaga sa anti-terror law,
Layo naman ang pera.
reasonable suspicion pa lang yun. Hindi pa yun, definitive
Ed, we have to read that
actionable
law,
complaint.
Kasi nung binasa ko Sabi ko, paano nakalusot to sa mga lalaki? You have to read it. Kasi kapag ikaw nakasuhan ng domestic violence, hindi ka pa convicted, your wife or your spouse, kahit
Yes, pwede nang huwag ka nang
will get the
pauwiin.
house,
Yes,
will get the car, will get the money, will get the
Totoo.
child, will get even the dog.
Totoo yan. Totoo yan. Yeah.
Oh, tapos it's only one way. I mean, it's only one way.
Hindi pwede sa mga lalaki yan, Ed. Huwag ka na.
It's only one way gender-wise.
Ano siya, Ed? Violence
Kasi it's about
against women and children, not men. Oo, so hindi ka kasama rin.
Ayun na nga, hindi malinaw yung psychological violence, emotional violance. Kaya ang mahirap-hirap Sana makabalik si Atty. Mel kasi
Wala bang equal protection of the law clause dito?
Hindi kasi naman anti-discrimination dito.
Sorry, Mel. Tulungan mo kami dito.
Sabi ko, paano kaya itong mga lalaking ko, hindi man lang nagbasa na itong batas na pinapasa nila.
Oo. Hindi, ako gusto ko talagang malaman. Yung
mga congressman yan.
Ha?
Hindi ko tinatanong ko
Hindi, binasa ng mga congressman, pero yung enforcement nga niya, ngayon, yung interpretation ng Supreme Court, ano na yun, di ba? Medyo batas na yun ngayon, di ba?
Sabi nga nila, baka daw ma-wipe out yung buong Congress, kalahati ng Congress lang naman. Baka daw ma-wipe out kapag in-applyan sa mga opisyal natin.
Well, depende rin kung gaano ka militant ang mga wives, lalo na ng mga congressman. Kasi usually mga wives din, tinotolerate na lang di ba? Parang
Saka sa society natin, di ba mas magaling magpasala na ng divorce?
Oo, yeah. Para
hindi naman lahat ng marriage nagsasucceed di ba? Paano naman yung...
That's true.
Hindi rin naman pwedeng pilitin yung lalaki ko ayaw na doon sa babae.
Right.
Paano yan? Halimbawa, may 3 anak na, May 3 anak na.
Tsaka kung minsan ayaw mo naman makulong din yung asawa mo, di ba? Kasi pag nakulong, hindi siya makakatrabaho. Tapos ikaw ngayon, wala ka ngayon makubra, di ba? Parang, yung practicality doon Napatawa ka pero nung nasa relasyon ako, yan ang mga problema nila. Sinasabi talaga nila, ayaw naman daw nila makulong kahit alam nilang guilty. Kasi nga, pagka nakulong, walang trabaho, magpapakain yan sa mga anak niya.
Kaya nga, they'd rather have alimony actually, di ba?
Yeah, so most wives, gusto na lang nila, basta lang, kung maaari, maghiwalay na lang. Yan nga ang gusto nila, di ba? Bayaran na lang siya, bigyan ng sustento, pero wag nang ikulong.
Dapat
Diba?
yung lalaki magsasalita dito, kasi dapat dinasama. Ayun na, aapi dito.
Hindi kasi problema ni Ed yan.
Akala ko talaga pag-usapan natin anti-terrorist law.
Anti-terror law. Yung mga lalaki ngayon nate-terrorize dyan.
Nagulat ako ba? Nag-usapan nila. Hindi ko nabasa yun.
Hindi, sabi ko, I think it will need some remedial legislation. Nakita ng mga lalaki ko, impact sa inyo Di ba? Kayo yung makukulong.
Teka. Let's review it lang. Let's review it. So the ruling is that tinaasan yung punishment for those who
No, that's
Hindi, nandun na siya sa Bausi. Yeah. Ang nangyari lang yata with this landmark case, parang
enforce.
Sexual infidelity by itself is now psychological abuse.
So the Supreme Court broadened the
In effect,
definition.
yeah. So hindi mo na kailangan nga patunay. Ayan na si Atty. Mel. Yan. Mahirap. Baka mali interpretation ko. Atty. Mel, may tanong si Ed. Defensive kasi yan
Wala bang Atty. Mel, wala bang equal protection of the law dito? Why is it only one gender against the other? Why is there no equality? Don't we have human rights as well?
Well, alam mo, Ed, what is legal equality? It is the accommodation of difference. It's the accommodation of difference. Titingnan mo ang physiological and biological and cultural and nurtural characteristic ng isang lalaki at babae. Ibang-iba talaga. So halimbawa, yung 9262, ang mga babae may stay away order sila, pwede na lang huwag papasukin through a court order ang lalaki sa bahay. Kung binubugbog na sila, pero kung ang lalaki may stay away order na hindi niya papapasukin ang babae, isipin mo lang sa gabi kung ano mangyayari. Yung iba ang sitwasyon, maaring mabastos siya, maaring ma-rape siya, pero kung ang lalaki may stay away order, baka makipagtumaan lang yan sa labas. Kaya ibig sabihin, it is
stereotyping.
9262 is an issue of power imbalance.
Yeah.
Dito sa ating Pilipinas, may empirical data talaga na may imbalance ang power ang lalaki at babae. Nasanay tayo na ang babae nasa bahay, siyang nangangasiwa ng tahanan, umaalis siya sa trabaho niya, kinakalimutan niya profession niya, tapos ang lalaki ang machismo, gumagawa ng pera, etc. Ngayon kung biglang mawala at naaabuso ang babae, hindi pa pwede yun. Sapagkat alam naman natin, yung sinasabi mo, Bok, na dapat equal. Kaya kasi ang nangangasiwa ng bahay isang malaking bagay rin, di ba, sa society. Pero hindi nakikita yun. So it's an accommodation of that difference. Classic case. CR ng lalaki. Dapat ang CR ng babae mas malaki. Kasi iba sila, pila sila. Tayo mga lalaki hindi, Bok, di ba? So those are the things na ini-equalize mo. It's not total actual equality. It's an accommodation of that difference so that the power imbalance will be neutralized sa lalaki at babae.
Attorney Mel, yung pinag-uusapan namin kanina Sabi ko, paano naman ngayon kung talagang the marriage is over, saka talagang naghahanap na siguro baka mauna ng konti yung lalaki, no? Paano, mapipilit mo ba yan and you will threaten the two na to stay together or else makukulong yung isa. Do you think this law will need, ngayong nakita na natin kung paano siyang i-enforce ng Supreme Court, do you think this law is headed for remedial legislation?
Well, hindi.
Mag-diborsyo na lang. Kaya mapipilitan yung couple, di ba? Baka
hindi pag-usapin yun.
Hindi ba
Iba namang
Oo.
iba namang usapan ng
Opinion.
diborsyo.
Yes.
Iba namang usapan ng diborsyo. Ito kasi
Yeah.
ito abuso, sakit,
Yeah.
sakit. Ang diborsyo, maaaring walang abuso. Kung iaano natin yan, kung ipapatupad natin yan, kamukha ng mga irreconcilable difference na mga reason, hindi na kami makapag-intindihan. Pero magkaibigan kami, pero hindi kami makapag-intindihan.
Right.
O, yun. Pero ang abuso, ito ibang ina-address talaga ng 9262. Yun.
Ako, Mel, ang tanong ko, kanino yung burden of proof ng sexual infidelity? Sa girl? Sa girl pa rin? Sa wife?
Oh, siyempre, ang burden of proof doon sa nagpaparatang parati, di ba? Kaya ang maganda ngayon, hindi mo na kailangan i-prove na binabahay pa. Alam mo yun? Yung binabahay pa, nabawasan ng mga requirements, kaya medyo gumaang-gaang na.
So, itong sa landmark case na to, anong mga present na evidence na nakakonvince dun sa judge all the way to the Supreme Court na dapat niyang makulong?
Well, yung kwento ng babae. Mas credible yung kwento ng babae. Ang kwento ng lalaki, ang defense ng lalaki, simple lang. Hindi ko ginawa. Yung defense niya.
Pero si babae,
pumunta siya from barrio to barrio, kinausap niya mga barangay captain, hinahanap niya yung asawa niya sa pangalawang beses na nawala. Remember, dalawang beses kasi na umalis. Nung una, na-discover niya sa Zamboanga. So pagkatapos, bumalik sa kanya, bigla na lang umalis, hindi nagpapaanak. Wala dun sa lugar na dating hinanapan niya. So, hinanap niya talaga. Tapos meron pang laro-laro pa. May tumatawag pa sa kanya na sinasabi na fino-force yung asawa niya na wag umalis doon. Tapos humingi siya ng nag-habeas corpus.
Okay.
Natalo sa habeas corpus kasi pala hindi pinipigil yung asawa. So, lalo siya napahiya. So yun ang nangyari hanggat nag-file na siya ng kaso ng 9262.
So, Atty. Mel, anong mapapayo mo sa mga lalaki ngayon kapag nagkaroon ng ganyang problema? Magsabi ka na lang kayo ng totoo. Ganun ba? Magsabi kayo ng totoo.
Mamimitigate ba pag umamin?
Hindi.
Oo naman. Basta umamin ka sa korte, minimitigate ang penalty. Yan ang legal. Ngayon, doon sa emotional, ay siguro naman maawa naman ang asawa. Ito nga.
Plead guilty, gano'n.
Nagbigyan ng asawa to for the second time. Ibig sabihin, ipapatawarin kita. O pinatawad naman, kaya lang umulit. Ayun,
talagang. Dapat lang ikulong yan. Okay. Tama na. Huwag na natin ipagtanggol yan.
Isa pa ang magandang ginawa ng Korte Suprema dito kasi pangkaraniwan, hindi mo pwedeng file ng damages ang asawa mo.
Yeah.
So,
that's right. Oo.
Kung ayaw makitira ng asawa mo sa iyo, hindi mo pwedeng file ng damages. Kasi nga, kung babayaran mo ng damages, conjugal naman yung pambabayad mo, uuwi rin sa conjugal, di ba?
Right. Oo nga.
Pero ngayon, binigyan ng 25,000 moral damages. Ang pahiwatig natin, yung moral damages, hindi magiging conjugal yan, separate property yan sa babae.
Babae lang yan.
So, yan ang isang special na ginawa ng Korte Suprema.
Ayan,
tama. May katarungan.
Alam mo, para sa akin, totoo lang, ang liit naman ng 25, ang Supreme Court.
Sa totoo lang, oo naman.
Mahirap Kayo naman, mahirap yung lalaki.
Tapos may tatlo pala.
Yes.
Kasi depende sa kakayahan.
Magbayad na lang ng alimony, magsabi ng totoo at magbayad ng alimony.
Alimony hiwalay na yun. Wala nga hiwalay. Paano mag-alimony?
Magbayad ka na, kung may lalaki. Hindi na yung magkakaling ka.
Okay, Mel, kailangan i-plug mo ang bagong show mo.
Oo nga pala. Nakikita niyo ba yung likod ko? Yun yung
I know, nako, fan yan ng Beatles.
Oo,
Grabe.
Ako ng details. Kaya may bagong show ako, yung Dean Mel Show, alas 8 ng gabi sa 1PH. Every Sunday lang, 1 oras lang. Kaya ang next
Ano music ba yan? Beatles?
details
Hindi, sabi may kinalaman ba yan sa Beatles, yung show mo?
wala. Kasi yung set na binlang nila sa akin, lahat ng mga nakalagay dito, may reflection sa akin. Yung mga
I see. Okay.
mga musician,
Oo. Yung logbox mo, andyan. Oo.
So, every item dito merong kaugnayan sa akin. So ayun.
Anong title? Sabihin mo. Dean Mel Show.
The Dean Mel Show, ang aking guest sa linggo si Secretary Martin Andanar.
Oh! Okay.
Sabi ko kay Martin, walang politika dito. Talagang absolutely walang politika, walang legal. It's just fun conversation natin dalawa. Walang ginagawa mo, sabi niya sa akin, okay, sige, let's go. So,
para man cave niya. Oh.
Dean, buti pa kayo.
Yeah,
Never siya nag-guest sa amin eh.
Okay.
In 4 years, never
Alright.
siya nag-guest to the Chiefs eh.
8 o'clock sa Sunday, 1PH, Channel 1. So,
Okay. O,
Okay.
panoorin niyo yan.
Good luck.
Okay.
Good luck,
Dean
attorney.
Mel Santa Maria, sir, maraming salamat po for joining us today.
Thank you, Mel.
thank you very much.
Show.
Sa ulit.
Thank you. Ayan,
Ayan.
Eda. Alam mo na.
Si Eda mo inawarning.
2020, di ba?
O, hindi. For the record, napaka-faithful ni
Oo nga.
Ed. Alam ko yan.
Okay.
Oo.
Sige na, baka may sabi pa ako eh. Okay, ingat kayo this coming weekend because the storm
Okay.
is coming
Yes.
in. Might be,
Right. Fair
might
warning.
be a super typhoon
Yeah.
by Sunday evening or Sunday afternoon. So, yeah,
Okay.
do what you have to do way before Sunday. So, happy weekend. That's
Happy
it for this
weekend.
weekend edition of the Chief.
Safe weekend.
Yeah, safe weekend. We hope what to discuss here will keep the conversation going. I'm Edling Kaupan News.
I'm Ami Pamintuan of the Philippine Star.
And I'm Lucy Cruz Valdez of News 5, and we are One News.